ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। So we were looking at the last Vakya in the first chapter, which is this third Vakya of the sixth Brahmana. This Brahmana is called Uttha Brahmana because here the Upadana Karana of Nama, Rupa and Karma are called as Uttha. So Uttha word is there here. You can see Uttha, because of which this Brahmanam is called Uttha Brahmanam. This Brahmanam summarizes the entire Anatma Prapancha, that which is not self, as three things: name, form and karma. Means you can take it as activity or function. Name, form and function, we can say in English. Everything, the objective world which is not self, can be categorized as name, form and function. And in this we saw that the Upanishad is talking about all the specific names, all can be considered as only sound in general. All colors and forms can be considered in general as something which is visible. Visibility is the common thing in all of them. And then all activity also we saw here. For all activity, you require a locus. Okay. And that locus here is taken as the body. All activity is taking place in a locus in your own body. That is the samanyam or samam. And then all these three things are then considered as only one, which is your own body. And then finally it is said that this body is actually covering the Dehi, the Atma. Like this Upanishad is taking you towards Atma again. How this Anatma is covering this Atma. It is all covered. So this, I think we saw the meaning of the Vakya last time, but the Bhashya we haven't completed. And once we complete this Bhashya, maybe we will look at the summary of this entire chapter. We can see some important things, because many of you have joined newly. In fact, I don't think anyone is there here now who started from class 1. So those who started from class 1 are all gone now, and most of the others have joined in between, I think. So we will just see some important sections of Bhashya, some important very frequently quoted Vakyas, which Bhashyakara also quotes a lot from Brihadaranyaka. All that we'll just try to understand what we have seen till now in the first chapter. Okay, quickly let us see the Bhashya here. Atha idanim sarva karma visheshanam manana darshanatmakanam chalanatmakanancha kriya samanya matre antarbhavaha uchyate. So atha, thereafter, now idanim sarva karma visheshanam, all the specific action or activity. Okay. And what type of karma? Manana darshanatmakanam. So when we talk about activity, it includes mental activity also. Darshana means seeing and all that. Okay. And also chalanatmakanam, that which involves some kind of a motion, you can say, correct? So motion means not just physical motion. Bhashyakara here includes the activities of the Indriya and the mind also here. Okay, so all types of activity, not just physical. And for all of them, Kriya Samanya Matre Antarbhavaha. All of them are in general activities. Okay, so they all come under activity. That is being now shown here. How Katham Sarvesham Karma Visheshanam Atma Shariram Samanyam. So for all karma, all kinds of activity, specific activity, karma Visheshanam means specific activity we can take. Atma, because here it says Karmanam Atma ityetad esham uktham. That's what is there in the Vakya here. So Bhashyakara, Atma means what here? He gives the meaning Shariram. Atma is the body here. So body is common for any activity, body has to be there. Okay, so Atma Shariram Samanyam. Atma means Bhashyakara says Atmanaha Karma Atma iti uchyate. So here actually Atma means the activity of the body itself is called as body. And Atmana hi sharirena karma karoti. So with your body only, whether it is your physical body or gross body, or if you take the Indriya and Mano, the karma which is done by Indriya and Manas, they are all, we have to still say subtle body is there, correct? Sukshma Sharira is there. So all types of karma is done by only some Sharira, whether it is Sthula Sharira or Sukshma Sharira. So Atmana hi Sharirena karma karoti iti uktam. It is being said here. So only by Atma all activity is possible. So Sharirecha sarvam karma abhivyajyate. So in your body only all this karma is manifest. Okay, abhivyajyate means you can say all this karma or the body is the locus of all activity. Activities are manifest only in your body. Ataha tatsthyat. Tatsthyat means tatsthaha. Then again tadita pratyaya is there. So it becomes tatsthyat, tachabdam karma. Okay. So because karma is there in the body, correct? Karma samanya matram sarvesham uktam ityadi purvavat. So because all karma, all activity has this body as the locus, so this body itself, our body itself is called karma, or karma is called as body. The words are used interchangeably here. And so for all types of karma or specific action, in general, this body itself is the samanya, or it is something which is generic, common, and therefore it is also called uktham. Uktham ataha hi sarvani karmani uttishtanti. From this only all karmas are born. Those things are all you have to take, like already Bhashyakara has explained before. He says sarvesham uktam ityadi purvavat. Simply he says, like already I have explained before. So from this body only all the karmas rise. Therefore this body or Atma itself, the locus of all activity, is called Uktha. It is the Upadana Karana, and this is also the Yesham Sama. It is Sama. It is the same. Wherever activity is there, some locus or body is there. Okay. And etadhi sarvehi karma bihi samam. So it is the sama. It is common for all karma. Etadesham brahma, and karma itself is the atma of all the activities also, all functions. This meaning is like already we have explained or discussed. Etadhi sarvani karmani bibharti, and only this again upholds or supports all the karma, all activity. Up to this it is fine. Now the Upanishad is going to talk about something more. Okay, up to this it is similar to whatever we saw in the previous two Vakyas, with reference to Vak and Chakshuhu also, correct? So with reference to names and forms and karma also, this up to this it's all similar, whatever is being discussed. Now what? Tad etat trayam sadekam ayam atma atma u ekaha san etat trayam. This part now Bhashyakara is going to explain. Tad etad yethoktam nama rupam karma. So when we say tad etad, what is this? That which is this, literally if you translate it. So that which was discussed before and that which is being discussed now, which is this. And that is what nama rupam karma trayam. So these three things which are name, form and function. Itara itara ashrayam, itara itara abhivyakti karanam, itara itara pralayam samhatam, tridanda vishtam bhavat sadekam. So these three are, you can say, itara itara ashrayam, Bhashyakara says, they are all having the same thing as the locus, you can say, or they can have each other as the locus also. Okay, so in general, they combine together and they support each other, you can say. Itara itara ashrayam means what? This nama rupam karma, they are supporting each other. Okay, and itara itara abhivyakti karanam means what? They also again, they are the reason for the cause of one another's manifestation also, you can say, and they also merge with one another finally. It is like three sticks supporting each other, he says. Tridanda Vishtam Bhavate means you put three sticks like this, they all support each other and stand as though they are one, correct? Like that, this Nama Rupam Karma go together. That's what is being presented here. Sad Ekam, and they are one. Okay, and further if you see this one, how they are unified, we have to understand that. Kena atmana ekatvam iti uchyate. Okay, so in what form their unity or their oneness is being talked about? Okay, that is only in the form of this body. Again, the body comes into the picture because all of them are in one way or the other manifest in our body. Ayam atma, ayam pindaha. So after sadekam, the Upanishad itself says ayam atma. So Bhashyakara ayam atma, he takes that ayam atma means the atma here. Bhashyakara gives the meaning pindaha. Pinda means literally you can say something which is like a part, you can say, or a small piece. Pindaha means anda and pinda, like that we say. Brahmanda is called anda and the individual is called the pinda. The whole and the part, you can say. Okay, so are the macrocosm and microcosm, all these things we can say. So this pinda, and how is it characterized? Karya Karana Atma Sanghataha. So Karya Karana Sanghata is a very common word which our Adi Shankaracharya uses everywhere. So this body itself is called as a Karya Karanatma Sanghataha. It is a Sanghata means it is something which is put together, collection. Okay, and collection of what? Karya and Karana. The physical body is called the Karya because it is the one effect of your karma, and all the organs and mind, the sense organs, organs of action and your mind, they are all called Karana. Therefore, this body itself is nothing but a collection of this physical body and then different sense organs and your mind. So it is a put together collection. And this also what tatha annatraye vyakhyatah. So this body or atma, whatever is called as atma here, is already discussed, or already it was described when the three annas were talked about. Okay, in the if you go back to the fifth Brahmana, etan mayahava ayam atma, like that it was said. Okay, so this body is only made up of these three things. Okay, so etavad hi idam sarvam vyakritam avyakritam cha yad uta nama rupam karmeti. So this body, which was already talked about, which was stated, it is nothing but an aggregate of these three things identified, or three types of food was talked about there, and that alone is the entire. Bhashyakara is now extending it, and he says that the entire manifest and the unmanifest universe, the world, okay, all of them, which was also talked about that as being made up of three annas, and that is nothing but this nama rupam karma only. Okay, vyakritam avyakritam cha yaduta nama rupam karma iti. So thus it is said, this entire world, which can be looked upon as something, the known world and the unknown world, or you can say the manifest world and the unmanifest world, all of them together is nothing but name, form and function alone. And further what? Atma u ekaha ayam karyakarana sangataha san adhyatma adibhuta adidaiva bhavena vyavasthitam etadeva trayam nama rupa karmeti. So again it is said here, after this atma, okay, then again one more it is there. Ayam atma it is said. Then atmo ekaha is there. Atmo means here atma u. Okay, that u is a particle. So Bhashyakara is now separating that atma and u. Atma u ekaha. So this atma is the one. Okay, and this atma is what? Again karya karana sanghataha. It is a collection of this karya and karana, being that karya karana sanghataha san, being this karya collection of karya and karana, and also what? Adhyatma adibhuta adidaiva bhavena vyavasthitam, and that which is also there in the form with reference to adhyatma means this body, okay, and also with reference to the in the adi bhuta. So when we say adi bhuta means with reference to the bhutas, you have to say pancha bhuta, with reference to the elements, you can say adi deva means again with reference to the devatas. So in different forms it is there, even though it is one karyakarana sanghata, but it is actually in different forms, in different aspects relating to this body, these elements and even devatas. And in what way it is different? It is only there in the form of, again, vyavasthitam etadeva trayam. So whether you take it with reference to this physical body, okay, or we take it with reference to the all the elements, or relating to the devatas, whichever way you take, only these three things are there, which are nama rupam karma. Everything is only name, form and function. Whether when we say atma, Bhashyakara here he says this atma means don't think only your physical body is these three things, since he has already said that vyakrita avyakrita sarvam. That same thing now Bhashyakara is giving in a different manner. He says that it is whether it is reference to this physical body, or with reference to the elements, or with reference to the devatas, everywhere only these three things are there. And tad etad vakshamanam, and that is that which is going to be said. What is that? Amritam satyena channam ityetasya vaksya arthamaha. Okay, so here tad etad amritam satyena channam pranaha. So this part now Bhashyakara. So tad etad means what? That which is going to be talked about here. Because everywhere whenever there is a pronoun, Bhashyakara has to give what that pronoun refers to. Sometimes when tadetad comes, correct, because tadetad was there even here, tadetad. Here he said that this tadetad referred to whatever was already discussed. But in this case, this tadetad is not something which is already discussed, but it is going to be explained. So that's why he says Vakshyamanam, simply whatever is going to be said. This pronoun refers to whatever is going to be talked about now. And what is that? Amritam satyena channam ityetasya vaksya arthamaha. The meaning for this is being now said. What is that? Amritam satyena channam. Like that, first the Upanishad says. And then the Upanishad is itself giving the meaning for that. What is that? Pranaha va amritam. So whatever is amritam, which was said here, it is nothing but prana. The prana alone is amrita here. The prana shabda is used for amritam. Again, even in Brahma Sutra, there is a big discussion because the word prana can be used for different, with different meanings in different contexts. So here, Upanishad is already this prana was talked about, prana upasana and all that. So we can take it as that prana also, which is amrita, which is immortal. But then what? Karanatmakaha, antar upashtambakaha, atma bhutaha, amritaha. So this pranaha va amritam means what? This amrita, which is the prana devata, you can take for now because that was under discussion. Okay, so that was under discussion. That has been now being referred to as immortal. But that is also in the form of this prana itself is looked upon as a karana only, correct? It is all part of the karya karana sangata. That's why Bhashyakara here he says karanatmakaha, or you can even take it as the atma of all the karanas. Okay, karanatmakaha means because all the karanas they wanted to function as themselves. In the fifth Brahmana it comes, correct? But what happened when they took a vow that they will do their function all the time, they could not do. They were beset with fatigue and they had to stop. The death overtook them like that and all it came. But then what? Once they started identifying themselves with prana, then they were able to go on and on because prana is the only thing which never stops. It is always functioning. So karanatmakaha, you can take it like that also, which is the atma of all the karanas. And antar upashtambakaha, which is there inside. Okay, so when we say that which is there inside and which is supporting all these things, being the atma of all these organs, and amritaha, it is the one which is really immortal, means avinashi, because this prana was already talked about as that which cannot be, this prana devata alone cannot be hurt or even injured or does not have any pain because it keeps going on and on without any fatigue. Even Mrityu cannot overtake this prana. Like that it was talked about, that prana. Okay. So Satyena. So next is Satyena Channam is there. So what is this Satya then? Prana is Amritam and Satya means Nama Rupe Satyam. Upanishad itself is giving the meaning here. Okay. So Karyatmake Sharira Avasthe, like that Bhashyakara for Nama Rupe. Further he says Karyatmake. So that which is there in the form of Karya. in the form of this body, or that which is there in the sharira avaste. So here this prana, Bhashyakara makes a differentiation here. So nama and rupa are in the sharira, but kriyatmakaha tu pranaha. That is because all activity is only possible because of prana. Correct? Prana is the only thing which throbs with life. All activity is only possible because of prana. So here when the Upanishad says Nama Rupe Satyam, Bhashyakara takes this Satyam as only this Nama and Rupa is still there in the physical body. They are there, or they can be supported by the physical body. But for activity, Kriyatmakastu Pranaha Tayoho Upashtambakaha. Okay, so the Upanishad itself already said that Antar, or Bhashyakara said that, sorry, Antar Upashtambaka. Same thing he is saying here. Because prana is the one which is making or which is supporting all types of activity. Okay, for what? Bahyabhyam, Sharira Atmakabhyam, Upajana Apaya Dharmibhyam, Martyabhyam, Channaha, Aprakashi Kritaha. Okay, so prana being the one who is there internally and who is supporting all activity, okay, of all this body, and even for nama and rupa and all that, which are all external, okay, because the prana is now looked upon as internal or antar, and these other things, the bodies, they are all external. Shariratmakabhyam, upajana apaya dharmibhyam, like that also it is said here. Okay, they have certain dharma. Dharmibhyam means what? Those which have some qualities. What are those qualities? Upajana apaya means what? They are born and they die, it seems. Okay. Upajana apaya dharmibhyam. So this body is born and then it is gone. But still we say prana continues. Prana continues to another body also. Okay. So that way only the prana is presented here as Amrita. Whatever is dying is only this body, which is external. Prana is the one which is there internally, which is supporting all activity. So the external things are all martyabhyam. That's what Bhashyakara says. So they are all mortal. But this prana is the immortal, which is internal. And because it is internal and they are external, what happens? This prana is covered by this body itself. Channaha. So this pranaha. So the connection is like this. Pranaha, channaha. In between all these other adjectives are all there, by which it is covered. Okay, they are talked about. Aprakashi kritaha. Channaha means what? Bhashyakara gives a meaning. That means it is not evident, you can say, correct? It's not shining. The prana itself is not shining because it is covered by this body which has nama rupa. Okay, so that's what here nama rupe satyam tabhyam ayam pranaha channaha, like that it is there here. That's what Bhashyakara is giving the meaning. So pranaha channaha aprakashi kritaha. So initially the Upanishad itself gave in a summarized or whatever brief manner amritam satyena channam, then it itself is giving the meaning for that here. And finally Bhashyakara is summarizing here etadeva samsara satatvam avidya vishayam pradarshitam. So now whatever is there here, this is this much only. Okay, etadeva. What is that? This samsara. Okay, this life of becoming, this world of becoming, relative world, all that you can say, which is nothing but avidya vishaya. It is only due to avidya we see this. Okay, so the it has been pointed out, Pradarshitam. So all these things have been pointed out as avidya vishaya, the nama rupam karma, vyakrita avyakrita prapancha. Everything is part of samsara. They are all part of ignorance only. Due to ignorance only, we are seeing all these things. That has been shown. Because again, this whole section is coming as part of the avidya sutram, which also we will see now. So ata urdhvam vidya vishayaha atma adhigantavyaha iti chaturthaha arabhyate. So next is what? The next chapter is going to be started. Ata urdhvam. Therefore, next is what? Vidya vishayaha. So whatever has been talked about till now, it is all avidya vishaya. Now the vidya vishaya is going to be talked about, which has to be understood adhigantavyaha. So whatever avidya vishaya has been discussed, it's all called adhyaropa. This is what we say. How do we teach Advaita? Or how do we teach something which cannot be objectified? And in the process, we also have to account for all the objective world we are seeing, correct? We cannot just say this Atma is Advaita, Atma alone is there. How can you say that I am seeing the world? Correct? So the world has to be accounted for. That's why first all the Upanishads always talk about the Srishti. Because the world has to be shown as mithya, as only an appearance. How do we show that? That is where the Karya Karana Prakriya is very useful. Even the Chandogya 6th chapter starts like that, correct? Sadeva Saumya Idamagre Asit. Whether it is like that or everywhere, even in Brihadaranyaka in 1.4, it starts that initially the Avyakrita, everything was Avyakritam. And then it became Vyakritam. It became differentiated, manifest. And into that Brahman itself entered. Pravesha Shruti also is always talked about. So this Adhyaropa Apavada is used. So initially when we do the Adhyaropa, we show that the whole world is having one cause, which is Brahman, which is the limitless consciousness. This Brahman itself, the world has a cause, means it has to be an intelligent cause, correct? So it is a conscious being. So we have a limitless conscious being, which is the cause of this world. Not just the intelligent cause, but even the material cause also. That means by that, what is the implication of stating that? The implication is that then the world becomes mithya, because only the karanam is satyam, karya is mithya. Because karya is nothing but only name, form and function. That's what we just saw, correct? All effects are nothing but names, forms and functions, nothing else. They do not have any existence of their own. The existence is there only in karana. So karana alone exists. Then all karya becomes mithya. Okay, that is fine. So Brahman has been presented as the Jagat Karanam, the cause of this entire Srishti, whereby now Srishti has just become name, form and function. It is only an appearance. It's mithya. It doesn't have an existence of its own. It has only dependent existence. All that is fine. Brahman is there independently. Then what about me? I am also there. So I am there, Brahman is there. Then how do we account for these two means? Then we have to say what this Brahman itself, how do we now show this Brahman or Atma? Means not this, not this, not this, we have to say. Why we have to say like that? Because you are not an object. Understand that. You are not an object to be shown like this, like a mango on your hand. Correct? It's not something you can objectify. You need not objectify is the more important thing. Okay, it's not that. One thing is Atma can never be objectified, and you need not objectify because your own existence, you don't have to use any pramana to know yourself because Atma is self-effulgent. It is self-existent, self-evident. That being the case, all the teaching is only to account for the appearance of the world and to remove your own wrong notions about this appearance. Because the main wrong notion in this appearance of the subject object duality is that you think you are also part of this appearance, correct? You become a limited individual and a part of this entire appearance of the world, which is of the nature of subject object duality is there. You can categorize it in n number of ways. The Shastra also is doing that all the time. Whichever way you categorize it, you become one part of that appearance. But what the Shastra is trying to say is, first it is taking this appearance and then it is showing that this the cause of this appearance is only one. That alone is Satyam. Therefore, this entire thing becomes an appearance and it is all accounted for. And then it says, you are not part of this appearance. Understand that. You are not one of the limited individual beings within this world appearance. That is where the apavada, it is going to negate this entire adhyaropa. Whatever was superimposed has to be negated. That is the only way you can teach Atma, because Atma, being the eternal subject, can never be objectified. It need not be objectified. All we are doing is we are removing all the wrong notions about yourself. The main wrong notion is that I am a limited individual in this space time, in this srishti, in this creation. I am part of this subject object division. That is the avidya. That is the greatest wrong notion which is there. And that has to be negated again and again and again. It has to be, you have to keep on negating it till your self identity itself changes. There has to be a self transformation. As long as you think you are an individual, you are going to have all the problems of the individual. That is samsara. The very individuality has to be negated, has to be shown that individuality also is mithya. And your self identity has to be that I am this limitless conscious being. Whatever was shown as the Jagat Karanam Brahma, that also is consciousness or conscious being. You are also a conscious being, and there is only one conscious being. That's what Shastra says. Because you cannot establish another conscious being, because that conscious being never becomes an object of consciousness. It is always only the conscious being aware of everything. Everything becomes evident to it. That's all. And it is self evident. And whatever becomes evident is not Atma, it is all Mithya, it's all only appearance. Whatever is Satyam, whatever is you, is there as it is. In fact, we do not have to even use any word for that. Okay, in one portion of the Bhashya, Bhashyakara says even the word Atma is actually superfluous, because you are not the meaning of any one word. Understand that. Or we have to say you are either we have to say you are the meaning of all the words, or you are not the meaning of any one word. In fact, you need not be denoted by any word because you are self-evident. Correct? We don't have to indicate you with a word like Atma also. That is also there only to, in fact, all teaching is in the form of negation only. This also is said in one part in Mandukya Karika Bhashya. Bhashyakara quotes his previous Acharya, Dravidacharya, and says that all teaching is really in only negating the wrong notions, because Atma need not be established even by the Veda. The Veda Pramanyam or Veda is a means of knowledge not to establish the Atma. Veda is a means of knowledge only to remove your wrong notions about yourself. You are already established as the self evident, self existent, conscious being that need not be established by any pramana. Okay, that being the case, let us quickly now see some important things, because uh, very interesting things are there in Brihadaranyaka. Let us summarize that. See, Bhashyakara starts by giving the meaning of Upanishad itself, which he always does. Okay, Upanipurvasya Sadehe, Sad is the Dhatu, Sadlu, and Brahma Vidya is the meaning of the Upanishad word. Brahma Vidya, Upanishad Vachya. But then how can you say Grantha also is Upanishad and all, he asks. That is because the book also is for the purpose of teaching that knowledge. So Tadarthyat Grantaha api Upanishad Uchyate. Like that he gives. Then he even gives the meaning of Brihadaranyakam and all that. Okay, it is big. And also Aranya Anuchya Manatvat, he says, because it is studied in a forest and all that. And then he gives the what is the connection between this Brahma Vidya and the Karma Kanda, the Purva Bhaga of the Veda. So here he gives very interesting, he starts in fact, Sarvaha api ayam Vedaha Pratyaksha Anumanabhyam Anavagata Ishta Nishta Prapti Parihara Upaya Prakashana Paraha. This one big compound everybody should remember. So what is Veda? This is the definition of Veda given by Bhashyakara. And it is very, very relevant, correct? Pratyaksha Anumanabhyam Anavagata means what? That which is not available through Pratyaksha and Anumana. Pratyaksha Anumana is only a Upalakshana here for all other Pramanas. Okay? All Laukika Pramana you have to take, whether it is, we consider other Pramanas also, correct? Other means of knowledge like Arthapatti, Anupalabdhi, Upamana and all that. But largely, Pratyaksha and Anumana, whatever is not available through other Pramanas, okay? And also the Veda being a deliberate means of knowledge, it has to it has to give you, or it has to give you a way to attain desirable ends and to avoid undesirable things, okay, you can say. So, Ishta, Anishta, Ishta Prapti, Anishta Parihara, like that you have to take respectively. So, Ishta, Anishta Prapti Parihara Upaya. So, all the ways in which you can gain that which is desirable and avoid that which is undesirable. Those ways only it has to reveal. Prakashana Paraha. So Veda means only these things. From this, what we understand, it is very clear, correct? Veda cannot be scientific, or Veda need not be scientific, or should not be scientific, in fact, because this is the biggest problem nowadays. Everybody wants to make the Veda scientific. In fact, even then we can have something called Vedic sciences, I think. But Vedic science means whatever is revealed by the Veda should be an axiom. Based on that, you can have your own hypothesis, your own theories, and you can even do some experiments and all that. That can be a Vedic science, I think. But other than that, Veda has to reveal something which is beyond Pratyaksha and Anumana, and science is nothing but Pratyaksha and Anumana. That has to be clear to everybody. And Veda has to reveal that. Now, whether it is Karma Kanda or Jnana Kanda, this definition applies to both. Understand that. So now Bhashyakara first tries to explain in the Karma Kanda, the Veda accepts that you are a Karta Bhukta. Based on that, it is giving you Ishta and Anishta, Prapti and Parihara. Correct? Parihara, Upayas, it is giving you. And in what way? There also, the Purva Mimamsakas are opposing the Vedanta on the basis that Vedanta is only revealing Siddha Vastu Vishaya, they say, which is not possible. Whatever is a fact or already existing fact, why should the Veda reveal? It has to reveal to you something for you to do always. That is their argument. But Bhashyakara, in one simple way, he totally dismisses them. He says, even the entire Karma Kanda will make sense only if certain facts are already revealed to you. If those facts are not there, then for what are you going to do something? Correct? What are those facts? He says, somewhere later he will say, that you go and read yourself. But the important words I will say, here it is there. See, Janmantara Sambandhi Atma Astitva Vijnane, he says. Means, first, the Veda only has to reveal to you there is an Atma or self which is separate from this body, because there only there is no unanimity, correct? Different people are saying different things about what is self. Buddhist is saying that everything is shunya and all that, correct? Charvaka is saying only the physical body is Atma. So there is no unanimity first in even knowing what is self. So Veda has to first say Janma Vyatirikta Atma also, sorry, Deha Vyatirikta Atma, first it has to be established. But not only that, the Purva Bhaga, for it to be meaningful, there has to be a self which is separate from this body, but that self should be able to take on another body also. Correct? Janmantara Sambandhi. Because in another life, the same self has to be able to take on another body. And in that body, again, you have to have Ishta Prapti, Anishta Parihara and all that. Okay? You have to again have a desirable end. You have to gain and you have to avoid undesirable experiences, let us say. So without the Veda first revealing this, your entire Karma Kanda is useless, because Karma Kanda is talking only about going to different lokas, correct? So first, if the fact of this Atma being separate from the body and the Atma being having the capability to take another body or connection with another body, if it is not established, then you cannot have Karma Kanda itself. Even you have to even establish facts like there is Swarga, correct? If you are not able to establish the fact that another loka is there, how are you even going to talk about going there through karma? So all this talk about amnayasya kriyarthatvat and all they say, correct? The Purva Mimamsakas say amnayasya kriyarthatvat anarthakyam atadarthanam, like that. Everything which is not talking about some action or activity, it is all anartha, they say. It is all meaningless. But that is not true. He establishes that beautifully. So with this simple thing, he simply dismisses these Purva Mimamsakas entirely. And he gives the connection also. He says that the first, both are only talking about Ishta Prapti, Anishta Parihara, but Purva Bhaga is first talking about it in terms of Janmantara Sambandhi Atma. But the Uttara Bhaga again has to talk about the ultimate, whatever is Ishta, which is that you have to come out of this entire Janma, Marana, all this cycle, which is all again still only in Avidya. So this Brahma Vidya as a subject matter is valid, and it has its own result, which is again desirable, okay, which makes this portion of the Veda meaningful. That is the whole idea. So this part you can go and see. This Sambandha Bhashya is very beautiful. And then this first Brahmana is talking about this Upasana, Ashwa Upasana or Virat Upasana on Ashwa. Particularly this Ashwamedha Yajna, only Kshatriyas have the right to do that. Then what about Brahmanas? So for Brahmanas, they can do it as a Upasana only, like this. Like that also you can, that Bhashyakara says that somewhere, I remember that. So the Ashwamedha Upasana is there. The Virat Upasana and Ashwamedha and Ashwa. That is the first Brahmana. Then the Dvitiyam Brahmana is about the Agni. Okay. Again, Virat Upasana and Agni. But here one more important Bhashya is there, called Ghata Bhashya, because this first sentence here itself is very mischievous. The Upanishad says, Naiva iha kincha agre asi, like that it starts. There was nothing here before. Immediately the Buddhists come here. Okay. Kim shunyameva babhuva, he says, shunyameva syat, because nothing was there here before. Only shunya was there. But Upanishad makes it up for that. It says, Mrityuna eva idam avritam asit. It was all covered by Mrityu. Then Bhashyakara says, if Mrityu has to cover something, That means there is a covered something is there, covering something is there. So you cannot say that nothing means here it is really shunya, it is only unmanifest. Okay, that which is not manifest, that which is not tangible, that is what is called as whatever. Naiva iha kincha agre asi. There was nothing here like that. And then there is a huge bhashya is there. In this context, Bhashyakara presents his whole thesis on cause and effect. That is what is called Ghata Bhashya. So the Ghata is taken as an effect, and the Mrit or clay is taken as the cause, and then different opinions which are there of others like Buddhists and Nayayikas, they are all presented. But I don't have to go through all the details here. It's a big bhashya you can see here. But the finally, what is the conclusion? Our view, Siddhanta, is that all effect are already there in the cause potentially. And whenever a particular effect is coming out of a cause, it is only that one effect is coming and other effects become unmanifest. So all the effort is only bringing out an existing effect which is potentially there for making it manifest. While one effect manifests from the cause, the other effects become unmanifest. So the cause itself has many effects in it potentially always. And therefore, Karana also is always there, Karya is also always there, but Karya is Mithya because Karya appears, disappears like that. So it's only an appearance. It is Nama Rupa. So that is the Siddhanta. Okay, so this part is very useful or very interesting. Then this second Brahmana is mainly about Upasana. Then the third Brahmana is also very interesting. Dvayaha Prajapatyaha Devascha Asurascha. So there are Devas, Asuras, both are children of Prajapati. And who are Devas and Asuras? Here Bhashyakara gives a very interesting meaning for that. He says Shastra Janita Jnana Karma Bhavita Dyotanat Devaha Bhavanti. Because he says these Indriyas only are both Devas and Asuras. Okay. And Indriya means here mind also we have to take it, I think. Mind and all the Indriyas, all the organs, sense organs, they themselves can be Asuras also. They are also Devas. When do they become Deva? When they are operating in the light of the Shastra, whatever knowledge gained from the Shastra, if they are acting based on that, then they are Devas. But the same Indriyas and Manas, Tayeva Swabhavika Pratyaksha Anumana Janita Drishta Prayojana Karma Jnana Bhavita Asuraha, he says. When they act based on their own natural tendencies, based on only Pratyaksha and Anumana, and do not consider the Shastra, okay, they go by whatever these Indriyas are always having a tendency to go towards this, the sense objects, correct? Senses have the tendency to go towards the sense objects. So if you are only reveling in sense objects, then you are Asura. That also he says, Sweshu eva asushu ramanat or surebhyaha va devebhyaha anyatvat, because asuraha means those who are not devas, like that you can take, or asuraha means asushu ramate, asushu ramanat. So like this Deva, Asura and all, he gives interesting meanings here. And then this is a big Brahmana. Okay, here basically the Prana Upasana, interesting story and all is there. How all these Indriyas again, they try to be, they become selfish. Okay, and because of which the Asuras get to them. Prana alone is not selfish. Like that there is a story here. Okay, none of the Asuras can even touch the Prana. So Prana alone is Utkrishta, like that. There is a big story. And finally, the most famous, whatever we think is a big Vedantic or whatever Vedanta Jnanam it is revealing, really it is not there in Jnana portion. What is that? Asato ma Satgamaya, Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya. That is there here only, 1, 3, 28. And it is part of a japa. you have to do as part of the prana upasana. Okay, this is a japa, you have to repeat this. Asatoma satgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritangamaya. Like that, this japa you have to do. Okay. So, even the meaning and all for that Upanishad itself gives here. So, this also is there here, this famous Vakya. This is all part of 1-3. Then 1-4 is the most important here, because it also starts with Atma eva idam agre asit Purusha Vidaha. This Brahmana is called Purusha Vidha Brahmana. Okay, because it gives a new meaning for the word Purusha here. Okay. Purvaha asmat sarvasmat sarvan papmaha aushat tasmat Purushaha. Like that, this here it gives a new meaning for the word Purushaha. So the one who burns all the papa before anybody else and then becomes the Prajapati, that person is Purusha. Like that, one meaning is given here. Of course, the word Purusha has so many meanings. And also, another very important Vakya here, Dvitiyad Vai Bhayam Bhavati. Very highly quoted, often quoted. Dvitiyad Vai Bhayam Bhavati. Only when there is a second thing, there can be fear. When there is no second thing, when there is no cause of fear, how can there be any fear? So this Prajapati was there alone, and then he had fear somehow. Then how did he get out of that fear? That also it says. Okay, in fact, he had fear, then he even had loneliness and all that. He did not like it. Savai naiva reme, tasmad ekaki na ramate. So those who are alone does not enjoy it, since he was not enjoying himself being alone, because it's all part of avidya only. Therefore, what sadvitiyam aichate, he decided for a second thing. Then he himself became Manu and Shatarupa, and then they reproduced with each other in different forms and all that. This Srishti and all is presented here, interestingly. Okay, so that is all there. So another interesting thing here I want to point out here is, see, here Prajapati, although he had this fear, he then came out of that fear by knowing himself. Like that it says. Tasya tataha eva asya bhayam viyaya. Okay. Kasmanu bibemi iti tataha eva. So he came out of that fear. So here one more important bhashya I would like to point out. Here see, atha anupadishtam eva pradurabhut asmadadehe api tatha prasangaha. Like that. So here Bhashyakara raises very important point, which is a very topical subject, I think. What is that? Nowadays everybody is somewhat allergic to gurus. Okay, there is one group of people who always say, why should you go and study Shastra with a guru? You do it yourself, you just dive deep inside yourself and all that. So here that point is, it's not something new. Bhashyakara's time only it must have been there. So he says, and that guy is quoting Prajapati here. He says Prajapati came about this knowledge without any guru, correct? Nowadays they give Ramana and all as example, correct? Did Ramana Maharishi have any guru? J. Krishnamurti, did he have any guru? Or whoever, somebody who is considered to be a jnani or saint and all that, or a big shot, they say that this person did not have any guru, so why should I have? So this kind of argument is presented here actually. Then Bhashyakara gives some arguments in that. What he says is, Utkrishta hetu udbhavat, he says, udbhavatvat. So this, the Prajapati Upadhi is Utkrishta, he says, because Prajapati has already burnt all his papa, and then he has taken this Prajapati as a Padavi, or status of being Prajapati. So you cannot compare that with a normal person. So because he has this special Upadhi, and it's all punya. See, yata punya karmodbhavaihi viviktaihi karyakarnaihi sanyukte janmani sati prajna medha smriti vaisharadyam drishtam, he says. So this the Prajapati's upadhi is so exalted that Prajapati can have this jnanam, but that is not the case with everybody else, and he gives very beautiful bhashya here. You can go through that, very relevant. And then 1.4 itself, the most important, if we come later, is 1.4.7. Okay, the Avyakritam, the Srishti is presented here, and from that everything becomes Vyakritam, Nama Rupabhyam, name and forms and all that. And here only, after that what? Sayesha iha pravishtaha, the Pravesha Shruti also is there. Big Bhashyam is there. What is the meaning of this Pravesha or entry of Brahman into the Vyakrita Prapancha? Then Bhashyakara establishes that the limitless cannot be said to be entering from somewhere to another place, because to enter you have to not be in one place, correct? Brahman being everywhere, entry is meaningless. But entry means if somebody has entered somewhere, they are available there. Therefore, entry means only availability. Is that clear? Brahman is available as the Shakshi in each and every jiva. Brahman is the awareness. Brahman alone is manifest as I, that conscious being in every individual. That alone is Pravesha. Brahman is available in your Buddhi Guha to be recognized. Whether you recognize or not is the point. Okay. So this Pravesha Shruti is there. And then here whatever we say as Vidya Sutra is there. Atma ityeva upasita, like that. It is there here. Atma ityeva upasita. This is the Vidya Sutra. Then 148 also is very important, and this Bhashya is very huge because both this Pravesha Shruti Bhashya and this Vidya Sutra Bhashya is very big. So you can see so much. And then 148 also is talking about that everything is only Kriya because of this Atma. Okay, very important. This also 148. And then 1410 is where Mahavakya Aham Brahmasmi. Then Avidya Sutra. Okay, Atma, see, Atayaha Anyam Devatam Upaste. This Anyaha Asau, Anyaha Aham Asmiti. So this Devata is different from me. I am different from this Devata in this form. If anybody worships, if anybody does Upasana, what is that? Upanishad clearly says, Nasa Veda. I don't know how this Dvaiti Acharyas and all, how they even handle this Vakya, I don't know. I haven't read Ramanuja Bhashya or Madhva Bhashya for this, but they have to be doing some kind of gymnastics, I think. Very difficult because it's very, very straightforward here. They will just say, I think Narayana is not included in all these Devatas or something like that. I don't know how they are going to do that. But anyway, so this is the Avidya Sutra also is there. And then the rest of the things are all only about the Avidya one. After this Avidya Sutra, the rest of the 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 and all, and then it has summarized, correct? We saw. And in 1.5 also, one important thing is where it says about the 3 types of results of Kevalam Karma and Upasana and Karma and all that. That is an important thing. And then the last one, Ukta Brahmana. So we saw all that. So we summarized this also, I hope. And we will continue next week with the second chapter where the Apavada will start. We will see that. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
ధన్యవాదం జీ.
ధన్యవాదాలు. థ్యాంక్ యూ శంకర్.
ధన్యవాదాలు.